Welcome to part 7 of Unbinding Prometheus, how generative AI liberates computational thinking from coding. This part of my presentation steps back from computational thinking to address how to navigate some of the challenges and risks associated with applying generative AI. I first explain how many AI hallucinations stem from improper usage, such as applying outdated models, providing vague prompts, or omitting sufficient context, and then describe how effective prompt engineering, metacognitive awareness, and critical thinking drastically improve outcomes. I also discuss the importance of balancing AI adoption with ethical, environmental, and pedagogical responsibility, and urge educators to design assessments that engage AI constructively while fostering human reasoning, integrity, and sustainability. Generative AI isn't all rainbows and unicorns. Applying it comes with real risks and challenges that demand thoughtful use. One of the most common issues with AI is the broader spectrum of hallucinations, which include factual inaccuracies, nonsensical output, source conflation, and even overindulgence in generating excessive or sensitive content. Early large language models struggled with these problems, and they still arise when users misunderstand AI model limits or fail to apply best practices for versioning, prompt engineering, and context. In particular, most hallucinations today stem from using outdated models, vague prompts, or failing to provide sufficient context. Accuracy improves when four gears mesh, using the right large language model version, applying good prompt engineering practices and patterns, providing adequate context, and thinking critically about the results AI gives back to you. Relying on free or obsolete models drags results down, whereas combining up-to-date models with effective prompts and close scrutiny pushes the needle to high accuracy and better outcomes. I've become known as the resident AI enthusiast at William & Mary, which means my faculty colleagues enjoy sending me examples of where AI failed. They'll say something like, "I tried using AI to generate some complicated formulas and it didn't work." My first question is always, which AI model and what prompts did you use? And the answer almost every time is something like, "Oh, the free version of ChatGPT. I just asked it a vague question." That's when I sigh, smile, and say, "Send me your prompts and your attachments." I feed the same request into the plus version of ChatGPT, using a bit of structure, maybe a prompt pattern like persona or context, and out comes a flawless result. Then I send it back to them with a gentle nudge. Please spend the $20 a month and upgrade to a paid AI model. As with so many aspects in computing, it's garbage in, garbage out. And the free or obsolete models and vague prompting just don't cut it anymore. The real magic happens when you don't just give AI a prompt, but engineer the context around it. The text you've already written, other relevant documents, the chain of reasoning, and the structure of the task. Then the system doesn't simply hallucinate or plagiarize, it collaborates with you. It builds on your foundation, understands your scenario, uses your prior work, and delivers something aligned with your intent. Combining prompt engineering with context engineering turns AI models into partners in reasoning rather than black box responders. These are not hard skills to master. However, metacognitive skills, knowing when to trust and when to question what AI models tell you, are far more vital than technical fluency alone, because they ensure that AI output never outweighs human judgment and oversight. It's the same mental habit we should have begun honing back in the 1990s, when Abraham Lincoln supposedly warned us, "Don't believe everything you read on the internet." While this is clearly a joke, it's also a timeless reminder of why discernment still matters. Today, computational thinking is easier than ever to access, but without critical thinking, analytical reasoning, and intellectual rigor, we risk a slow digital brain rot. So use AI boldly, but be prepared to think even harder. And that's where the real question lies. You've probably seen the MIT study showing that using AI activates less of your brain than doing the same task unaided. Intriguing, right? But let's pause on that. Doing long division by hand fires a lot of neurons too, but does that make it better than using a calculator? Of course not. The calculator frees your brain to solve bigger problems. Maybe the point isn't how much of your brain lights up, but what it's lighting up for. We should be studying when reduced cognitive effort means laziness and when it means evolution. Because mastering labor-saving tools has always been humanity's secret move, offloading the mechanical so we can focus on the meaningful. Let's now turn our attention to various ethical and sustainability issues that are associated with generative AI. We can't talk about AI without discussing the thorny issues such as authorship, copyright, misuse, cheating, bias, environmental concerns, and so on. Educators feel the cheating concerns most acutely, so they must be addressed head-on. However, the answer shouldn't be reverting back to blue books or giving exams in Faraday cages that block all Wi-Fi and cellular signals. Instead, we must redesign assessments for the world our students actually inhabit. When they are allowed to use AI, we must also require accountability to separate genuine understanding from mindless copy and pasting from AI-generated essays or programs. Students can be required to defend their submitted work via oral, viva voce style quizzes tied to each submission. Teachers can also intentionally underspecify their assignments, so students must prompt AI tools, iterate on the outputs, and show their work. Likewise, teachers can assess student reasoning processes, not just their results, by layering in artifacts such as prompt logs, version histories, and rationale memos. Introductory computing courses could operate within controlled, supportive digital greenhouses, which are restricted environments designed to nurture foundational programming and problem-solving skills. These protective settings help novice students grow their competence and confidence before venturing into the open internet and the powerful, yet often distracting tools of generative AI. Beyond that, however, AI should be treated as a tool to master, question, and audit, emphasizing collaboration, reflection, and problem solving. Academic integrity isn't about rejecting new technologies and tools. It's about how we use them to turn AI-powered problem solving into a curiosity engine driven by transparency and proof of learning. Another issue that needs to be addressed head-on is energy and water consumption, which is especially problematic when training generative AI models. The good news is that people are finally waking up to resolve these problems. Data centers, the beating hearts of our digital world, are getting a long overdue makeover. Some are being built with wood instead of concrete to cut carbon emissions. Others are experimenting with air cooling instead of water cooling. And deep in the labs, engineers are reimagining both the brains and the bodies of AI, building energy-efficient neuromorphic chips, and designing smarter software that delivers more performance with a fraction of the power. While AI's appetite for consuming energy and water isn't solved yet, the focus on sustainability is starting to pay off. Clean computing isn't just the right thing to do, it's becoming a business model. The next trillion-dollar idea out of Silicon Valley might not be a new app or algorithm. It might be the company that figures out how to make AI greener. But we also need to keep things in perspective. It's easy to point at AI and say, look how much power it uses, while ignoring everything else we do that quietly drains the grid. Every Zoom meeting, every Netflix binge, every Fortnite gaming session, and every DoorDash delivery burns energy and water too. Likewise, air travel also has a huge carbon footprint. The truth is, we're all part of this equation. If we're serious about sustainability, we must start close to home. Fix the leaking pipes, eat fewer resource-intensive foods, cut down on hamburgers since it takes hundreds of gallons of water to raise that cow. Turn off the lights when you leave the room. All those things add up faster than we realize. I'm not dismissing the environmental impact of AI. It's real, but perspective matters. Before we obsess over the speck of carbon in AI's eye, let's deal with the plank of waste in our own. Because if we really want to save the planet, it starts not with blame, but with balance and the courage to see the whole picture. This concludes the 7th part of my talk on how generative AI is liberating computational thinking from code. In part 8 of my presentation, I discuss how higher education must shift from traditional coding to AI literacy and prompt-driven computational thinking, ensuring students harness AI responsibly with ethics, trust, and human-centered purpose.